Hello, my name is Alistair Slowly, and today we'll be talking about the value story. So how did cavemen in our dim historic past express user requirements and desires and wishes to each other? Well, they told stories. And today that's what we use on our Agile teams as well. We call them user stories. Here's the 3-line format for the user story. As a type of user, I want some goal, so that's some reason. It's the who, the what, and the why. And in fact, teams have been able to adapt to this user story format and enhance it, for example, using something called a persona. This is a typical persona, a very simple one that's been developed by this team who's developing Shakespearean software. All a persona does really is express the characteristics of the target user. And going back to the user story, rather than saying as a user type, they can say as a persona name. In this example, they would say, as Hamlet, I want some goal, so that's some reason. What's a typical ticket format type look like for a user story? You've probably seen or used this many times yourself. Here's a sticky note, otherwise known as a ticket. This is the user story format that I've used successfully on many Agile teams over many years. A 2 or 3 word common title at the top, 3 lines of the user story, the who, the what, the why, underlined so that it's easily visible immediately to the team members. And you can continue to extend the user story format by attaching whatever information you need to that user story. For example, acceptance criteria. Here's a typical example of acceptance criteria on a user story ticket. What do they look like? High-level test cases. What are some common anti-patterns that I see in organizations adopting Agile today with regards to user story format? Here's the most common one I see today. It looks like the user story ticket that we saw earlier, but you've noticed that they've neglected one line of the ticket. That is the 3rd line, the value statement. So the team can express the who and the what of the user story, but they can no longer express the why, the value. And in fact, as the team continues to be dysfunctional with regards to this user story format, it can get worse and develop into the 2nd most common user story format dysfunction I see today. No user story whatsoever and a 2 or 3 word title. So what's missing in these 2 dysfunctions I see? Value. Value is really the ultimate expression of prioritization in your backlog. So if you're neglecting value in your user stories, how can a team prioritize appropriately? If you're experiencing this dysfunction, perhaps you should consider using a different user story format. For example, put the value at the top of the 3-line user story format statement. In this case, it's the why, the who, and the what. This way, the team cannot neglect the value statement because it's the very first line of the user story. And in fact, you could even adopt another type of user story. Rather than the why, the who, and the what, you could say the why, the what, and the who. But in both cases, we're expressing the why at the top of the user story format. Going all the way back to the Scrum Guide, there are 14 references to value. You can find statements in the Scrum Guide: highest possible value, optimizing the value, gains value, and why? It's because value and the value statement of PBIs or user stories are the most important and critical way teams can prioritize their work on Scrum teams today.